I'll bury you under that lake." That's what Patricia screamed at me. I'd just caught her red-handed. This woman had posted my private lake for sale online. She was asking for $50,000 from unsuspecting investors. To make matters worse, she called the cops on me, lying that I had threatened her, but she picked the wrong person to mess with. I've been a real estate expert for 15 years, and I knew exactly what to do. She didn't know a secret about her own property, a secret that would change everything. Now, she can't even get close to the lake she tried to steal. If you want to know how I did it, stick around for the 3 crazy twists in this story. Every morning, I sit by this lake with my golden retriever, Duke. This place was special. It was where my wife, Emily, and I dreamed we would grow old together. "Marcus, when we retire, let's get a ranch with a fishing lake," she used to say. Her eyes would sparkle as she looked through travel magazines, but life can be cruel. 3 years ago, a drunk driver ran a red light, and Emily was gone forever. I couldn't bear to stay in our old house. Every corner was a reminder of her, so I sold everything and bought this 5-acre ranch with its 2-acre lake. It was the exact place Emily had cut out from a magazine and saved. It was my way of keeping her dream alive. After 15 years as a real estate appraiser, I'd seen every dirty trick in the book. But I was done with that life. All I wanted here was peace. Duke, the beautiful golden retriever Emily gave me just 2 weeks before the accident, was my only companion. The ranch was my perfect escape, far enough from town to avoid pitying looks, but close enough for weekly trips to the grocery store. The best part of it all was the crystal-clear lake with willow trees dancing in the breeze along its shore. Every evening, I'd sit there with my fishing rod, Duke by my side, finding comfort as the water gently lapped against the shore. But then Patricia Gray moved in 6 months ago, and my peace started to fall apart. From the first day, something felt wrong about the 48-year-old woman. She quickly made herself the president of the Meadowbrook Women's Association, which was funny because our little community only had about 20 families. She'd knock on doors with a fake smile, trying to get people to sign papers for community improvement and economic development. Most people were polite but kept their distance. Behind her back, they called her that city woman. She'd corner people at the grocery store, talking about all the ways to make money and modernize the area. What I didn't know then was just how desperate Patricia was. She wasn't just annoying, she was dangerous. Patricia had run from the city after her real estate business went broke. She'd been caught forging documents and stealing money from people who thought they were buying homes. She owed a bank over $200,000 and had borrowed another $50,000 from people who were not the forgiving type. I later overheard her sobbing on the phone, "If I don't pay them in 3 months, they'll break my legs." She had changed her name from Patricia Coleman, dyed her hair, and run to our quiet community to hide. But you can't run from debt. Her big plan was to turn our community into the Patricia Lake Eco Resort. She had already made fancy brochures and a list of rich investors. The main attraction of her grand plan was my lake, my private, peaceful lake, which was Emily's dream. She had looked up county records and figured that controlling the water access could make her millions. In her mind, she was a smart businesswoman. The fact that the lake was mine was just a small problem she planned to ignore. After all, what was one grieving widower against her big plans? Monday morning was when everything blew up. I woke up at 6:30, made coffee, and fed Duke. As we were about to go for our walk, my phone started ringing. And ringing and ringing. By 6:47 a.m., I had over 50 missed calls and tons of texts. "Is this Marcus? I'm interested in the lake property. Will you take $60,000 cash? I'm flying in from California tomorrow." My hands were shaking as I opened my laptop. There it was, all over real estate websites and marketplace pages. Patricia was selling my lake. The ads read, "Incredible opportunity. Private to Ocker Lake in perfect condition, ideal for development. Price to sell at $50,000. Contact Patricia Gray, authorized representative." The posts had professional photos of my lake, taken from every angle with a drone. She had even created fake pictures showing what new cabins would look like on the property. My quiet sanctuary, my last connection to Emily, was being sold off. Like a cheap product, Duke could sense my anger and started to whimper. My first thought was to call the police, but I knew that would take too long. This needed to be handled face-to-face. Right now, I stormed out of my house with Duke behind me. The quarter-mile walk to Patricia's house felt like the longest I'd ever taken. I found her in her garden, watering roses with that same fake smile. "Good morning, Marcus. Lovely day, isn't it?" she said cheerfully. "Are you out of your mind?" I shouted, "You're selling my property on the internet." Patricia's smile didn't move, but her eyes went cold. "Oh, Marcus, don't be so dramatic. That lake has been sitting there, unused, for years. I'm helping our community see what it can be. Think of the jobs. The lake is mine. It's my private property. You have no right?" I said, stepping closer, my hands clenched into fists. "Rights." Patricia laughed. "Do you have the proper papers, or have you just been living on public land? I have friends at the county office. They tell me the property lines around here are a little fuzzy." This was a lie. My deed to the land was solid, and I paid my taxes every year. But her confidence made me second-guess myself for a moment. Then I saw her hand moving behind her back, secretly using her phone. "Don't think you can scare me," she said, her voice getting louder. "I know your type. Bitter old men who think they own everything." Before I could say another word, her whole attitude changed. Her face twisted in a fake look of fear. "No, please. Don't hit me," she screamed. "Somebody help me. He's going to kill me." She threw herself backward, knocking over her potted plants. Her phone was already connected to 911. I stood there, completely stunned, as she kept screaming. "He said he'd bury me under the lake. Please, call 911. Within 5 minutes, sirens were blaring. 2 police cars raced up her driveway, and 4 officers jumped out with their hands on their weapons. Patricia ran to them, her hair a mess and her mascara running down her face. "Thank God you're here," she cried. "This man threatened to kill Emmy." The lead officer carefully walked toward me. "Sir, step back and put your hands where I can see them." "Officer, she's lying," I said. "I'm here because she's illegally selling my lake online." "Sir, calm down. Hands visible." "Now," the officer said firmly. Duke growled at the officers, and I had to grab his collar to hold him back. The next 30 minutes were the longest of my life. The officers separated us to get our stories. Patricia told a wild tale of how I had harassed and threatened her. I tried to explain what was really happening, showing them the online ads on my phone, but they looked doubtful. Thank God for Mrs. Henderson, my neighbor who lived between our properties. She had security cameras that recorded Patricia's yard. When the officers watched the video, they saw the truth. It showed me standing perfectly still while Patricia threw herself backward. There was no physical contact, just a confused man and his dog. The sergeant's face grew stern. "Ma'am," he said to Patricia, "filing a false police report is a serious crime." Patricia's fake tears stopped instantly. "That video doesn't show everything. He threatened me before." The sergeant sighed. "Both of you need to work this out peacefully. No more of this, ma'am. Don't call us again unless there's a real danger. And sir, stay off her property." As the police drove away, Patricia gave me a smirk. She had lost this round but felt no shame. As Duke and I walked home, my mind was racing. Patricia wouldn't stop. She desperately needed money, and my lake was her golden ticket. But just as we reached my property line, an idea sparked in my mind. 15 years in real estate had taught me all about property lines, abandoned plots, and old forgotten records. That night, I pulled out all my old survey maps. If Patricia wanted to play dirty, this old widower was about to show her a few tricks of his own. By midnight, I found something very interesting in the old county records, something Patricia had definitely missed. Patricia had called the cops and lied about me, but she had no idea that I had just discovered a deadly secret about her land. What do you think I found? The next 3 nights were a blur of coffee and tired, bloodshot eyes. My dining table was covered in stacks of property records, some from as far back as the 1950s. Duke watched me with a worried look, nudging my hand with his nose every so often. Every piece of property has a history, and after 15 years as an appraiser, I knew how to read it. The work was slow, checking plot numbers against tax records, but I was driven by something more powerful than Patricia's greed. I was protecting Emily's dream. My laptop screen was filled with old county maps, and I carefully compared them to old paper surveys, looking for any mistake or forgotten detail. Meanwhile, Patricia was back at it. Every morning at 8 a.m. sharp, she would lead groups of rich-looking investors past my property, pointing at my lake. I watched from my window as she handed out fancy brochures with photoshopped pictures of my lake with cabins around it. Patricia, Lake Resort and Spa, the brochures proudly announced. She had even hired someone to build a professional website with virtual tour and investment plans. The nerve of this woman was unbelievable. She even held events in her backyard with tents, champagne, and fancy snacks. Every time a tour group got too close to my fence, Duke would bark. Patricia would just smile and tell her investors the current owner will be leaving soon. My 72-year-old neighbor, Thomas Murphy, whose family had farmed this area for 4 generations, stopped by on the 3rd night. "Marcus, you look awful," he said plainly. "That woman has the whole town talking. I've lived here 40 years and never seen anything like it." He had brought a casserole from his wife, Linda. "She's trying to steal my land, Thomas," I explained, showing him the online ads. His face grew dark. "My granddad always said the worst thieves wear the nicest clothes. You need help, you just ask. We all remember when you and Emily first moved here. We're not going to let some con artist from the city take that away from you." By the 3rd night, I was exhausted. Duke had barely eaten, stressed out by my strange behavior. My eyes burned, and I was seeing deed numbers in my sleep. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, I found myself looking at a photo of Emily. "I don't know if I can win this," I whispered. "She's got money and connections. Maybe I should just sell and leave." Duke whined softly, but then I remembered Emily's last visit to the lake just 2 days before the accident. She had stood on the dock, her arms spread wide, laughing at the sunset. "This is perfect, Marcus," she had said. "Promise me we'll never leave." I had promised, thinking we had our whole lives ahead of us. Now that promise felt sacred. I turned back to the documents with new energy. At 2:15 a.m., while looking at a county survey book from 1960, I saw it. The property lines in our area had been changed many times over the years as big farms were split into smaller lots. Patricia's land had been part of a larger farm that was divided in 1985, but there, in faded ink, was a mistake. A small, rectangular plot of land, only about 75 square meters, sitting right between Patricia's property and the only dirt road leading to my lake. The surveyor had marked it Plot X but gave it no official number, writing a note that its ownership was unclear. My tiredness disappeared. I cross-referenced the tax records and found the last owner, a man named Joseph Wilson, who had died in 1987 with no children or family to inherit the land. The property had been forgotten for 37 years. This ghost plot wasn't just a random piece of dirt. It was the exact spot where Patricia's road met my lake. To get to the water, she had to cross this tiny strip of land. Without it, she'd have cut through 2 miles of protected wetlands. I pulled up satellite images and confirmed it. This forgotten strip was the key. The previous owner of her land had used it for decades, never knowing they didn't actually own it. Patricia's own property search had missed it because the plot had no number and wasn't in the digital system. My hands shook as I took pictures of every document. Patricia thought she had me trapped, but she had just given me the very thing I needed to defeat her. I barely slept that night. At 7 a.m. sharp, I was the first person at the county land office. Rita, the clerk who had helped me years before, looked surprised. "Marcus, you're here early. How's the lake?" "Under attack," I said grimly, and explained Patricia's scheme. Rita's face hardened. "That Plot X you're asking about ... double quotes," she said, pulling up the records. "I remember now. Wilson died without a will and had no family. The county should have taken it for unpaid taxes, but it was missed. 37 years of unpaid taxes ... comes out to about $380. Can I buy it?" I asked. "It has to go to a public auction," Rita explained. "We'll post a notice today and the auction will be in 3 days. But honestly, who else would want 75 square meters of dirt?" Word travels fast in a small town. By the afternoon, Patricia had heard about the auction. I saw her car at the courthouse, no doubt looking at the same records I had. That evening, she found me at the grocery store. "Marcus," she said with a fake sweet voice, "I heard you're interested in that tiny plot, planning to do some gardening." She was trying to fish for information, just tying up some loose ends with the property lines. I replied casually. Her eyes narrowed. "Well, may the best bidder win," she said. "Though I can't imagine why anyone would waste money on that strip." She was trying to make me back down, but I could tell she was worried. Good. I had 3 days to get ready. That's when I thought of William Johnson, a retired theater professor who lived 2 towns over. I had appraised his house years ago. William, I said over the phone, how would you like to earn $500 for 1 hour's work? I explained my plan, and he laughed. Corporate spying in the countryside. What's my motivation? We practiced a few times. William would pretend to be a big-shot developer who was buying up small pieces of land. His job was to bid just high enough to make Patricia nervous, but not so high that he would actually win. Auction day was gray and drizzly. The county meeting room had only a few people. Patricia showed up in a fancy power suit, holding a briefcase. William arrived in character, wearing a rumpled sport coat and thick glasses, busy checking multiple phones. I wore my usual jeans and flannel shirt. The auctioneer, expecting things to go quickly, started. Plot X, 75 square meters. Minimum bid, $500. I raised my hand. Patricia immediately countered, $600. William jumped in dramatically, $1,500. Patricia's composure cracked. She hadn't expected serious competition. $2,000, she said firmly. I raised my paddle. $2,100. William, playing his part perfectly, escalated. $5,000. This plot is exactly what my clients need. Patricia's face turned red. She pulled out maps, trying to understand what William knew that she didn't. The auctioneer was thrilled with the action. $5,000 going once. $7,500. Patricia nearly shouted. William made a show of calling someone on his phone. The tension in the room was thick. $10,000, Patricia declared, standing up. The room fell silent. William shook his head sadly. That's beyond my budget. I'm out. I paused, then sighed, too rich for my blood. Congratulations, Ms. Gray. Patricia's victory lasted about 3 seconds before the confusion hit her. She had just paid $10,000 for a completely worthless strip of land. In the parking lot, William collected his payment, still laughing. Did you see her face when she realized she'd been played? But the best part is yet to come, I said, while Patricia was puzzling over her useless Plot X. I had quietly filed to purchase Plot Y, the matching strip of land on the other side. That afternoon, I bought it for $800 in a private sale. No competition, no drama. Patricia now owned one piece of a puzzle, but without the other piece, it was useless like a lock without a key. She had spent $10,000 on nothing, while I had secured the most important piece for less than $1,000. Duke seemed to sense my victory. We got her, boy, I told him. Tomorrow, I'll build my fence and Patricia will finally learn the price of trying to steal from a grieving widower. I had just won the most important land auction of my life, right in front of Patricia. She was furious, but she had no idea why I wanted that worthless plot. Can you guess what I was about to do with it? At 4:30 the next morning, my driveway looked like a construction site. 3 trucks arrived, loaded with steel posts, chain-link fencing, concrete, and a small excavator. I'd hired Jake Morrison's crew, the best fence builders in 3 counties, with one simple instruction: finish everything before 8 a.m. Jake, a giant of a man with arms like tree trunks, reviewed the plans with me by flashlight. A 3-meter steel fence, electronic gate, concrete foundations, security cameras, he rattled off. Preparing for a war, Marcus, his crew had built similar strong fences for other property disputes in the area. Something like that, I replied. My neighbor is about to learn a tough lesson about property lines. Jake grinned. Say no more. We've built 5 anti-Karen fences this year alone. My guys know what to do. We'll have you all locked up tight before she's had her morning coffee. Duke supervised the whole operation with great interest, his tail wagging at all the activity. The crew worked like a well-oiled machine. They dug post holes, mixed concrete, and set the steel posts perfectly straight. The sound of power tools and diesel engines filled the early morning air. By 5:45 a.m., the fence line was already taking shape, a strong barrier across the 75-meter strip of land I now owned. As the sky began to lighten, I saw a light flick on in Patricia's house. First her bedroom, then her kitchen. A moment later, her back door flew open. Patricia stormed out in a silk bathrobe and slippers, her face twisted with rage. What the hell is this noise? She shrieked. Stop this immediately. I stepped forward calmly with Duke at my side. Good morning, Patricia. Just doing some property improvements. The early bird gets the worm, as they say. Her eyes shot to the new fence line, and I saw the exact moment she realized what was happening. "You can't do this," she screamed, her voice so high it probably woke neighbors a mile away. "This is harassment. I'll call the police." "Go ahead," I said pleasantly. "I have all the permits. For farm properties, working hours start at 4:30 a.m. It's all perfectly legal." I showed her the building permits, making sure she could see the official stamps. Patricia's face went through several shades of red. That's the access road to the lake. You can't block it. Actually, I can. I said, "This is plot Y, which I own. Your plot X is right there." I pointed to the useless piece of land she had bought. "But unfortunately for you, it doesn't connect to the lake without crossing my land." The crew kept working, professionally ignoring the drama. Jake's team had clearly seen this kind of thing before. By 7:15 a.m., the fence was finished. It was 8 feet of strong, galvanized steel mesh, topped with angled wires to keep anyone from climbing over. It was set in concrete that would last for decades. The new electronic gate had a keypad, a magnetic lock, and security cameras with night vision. The whole system was powered by solar panels, so it was completely off the grid. All along the fence, I had posted signs: private property, no trespassing, and video surveillance. The innocent-looking dirt path now looked like the entrance to a high-security prison. Jake's crew packed up their tools. "That should hold off anything short of a tank," he commented. "Want us to stick around for the fireworks?" "No need," I said, paying him in cash. "Thanks for the fast work." As the trucks drove away, I checked my watch. 7:45 a.m., Patricia's first tour group of investors was due to arrive in 15 minutes. At 8 a.m., right on time, Patricia came out of her house, dressed in her full real estate agent costume, a navy suit, a pearl necklace, a leather folder, and a smile that could sell ice to an Eskimo. Behind her, a line of expensive cars pulled up, and 25 potential investors got out. I recognized the types from my old job: hedge fund managers, property developers, and venture capitalists, all looking for their next big score. Patricia led them, like a tour guide, waving her arms dramatically. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future site of Patricia Lake Eco Resort. In just a moment, you'll see the beautiful waters that will be the centerpiece of our luxury destination." The group followed her eagerly, their checkbooks practically burning in their pockets. They rounded the corner toward the lake access, and the whole group stopped dead in their tracks. The silence was beautiful. 25 wealthy investors stared at my fortress-like fence. Their expressions went from excitement to confusion to pure anger. Patricia just stood there, frozen, her professional smile cracking like old paint. The morning sun gleamed off the steel fence, highlighting every no trespassing sign. One of my security cameras turned to focus on the group, its red recording light blinking steadily. For a few long seconds, nobody moved. Then, the questions began. "Ms. Gray, is this some kind of joke?" A silver-haired man in a $1,000 suit asked, stepping forward. "Where's the lake access you promised? I flew in from Seattle for this. My time is worth $2,000 an hour." A woman added, "This looks like fraud to me." Another investor growled, "I want my deposit back immediately." Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a beached fish. This is temporary," she stammered. "A minor boundary dispute, I assure you. We have full lake access." But her voice was weak and had lost all its confidence. Sweat was beading on her forehead, even in the cool morning air. I chose that moment to make my entrance, walking casually from my house with Duke trotting beside me. "Good morning, folks. Beautiful day for a tour, isn't it?" 25 heads turned to look at me. Patricia's eyes shot daggers. "This is the man causing the trouble," she announced desperately. "He's illegally blocking public access." "Nothing illegal about it," I said conversationally, pulling out my freshly laminated deed. "This is Plot Y, which I legally purchased at a county auction. It's private property. That's Plot X over there." I gestured to Patricia's expensive, useless parcel of land, but unfortunately, it doesn't connect to the lake without crossing my land. The lead investor, the silver-haired man, studied the situation with a sharp, intelligent gaze. "Ms. Gray," he said calmly, his voice dangerously quiet, "are you telling us you don't actually have lake access?" "Of course we have access," Patricia stammered. "This is just a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," I clarified helpfully. "She owns a strip of land that goes nowhere. I own the strip that connects to the lake. Unless you folks can fly, there's no way to reach the water without trespassing on my property." A younger investor was already on his phone calling his lawyer. Another was taking pictures of the fence, Patricia, and me. Several others were having angry conversations with their assistants. The woman from Seattle looked like she was ready to commit murder. I gave you a $25,000 deposit. One man shouted at Patricia. I want it back now. That opened the floodgates. Others started yelling out their deposit amounts. 15,000, 15,000, 30,000. I transferred $50,000 just yesterday. Patricia's face had gone from red to a ghostly white. Duke, sensing the tension, stood protectively between me and the angry crowd. Please, everyone, Patricia pleaded, let's return to my house and discuss this calmly. But the investors were already walking back to their cars. You'll be hearing from my attorney. One yelled, this is fraud, plain and simple. Another added, I'm calling the FBI. Expect a lawsuit by Monday. Car doors slammed like gunshots, and engines roared to life. Within minutes, the line of luxury cars was speeding away, leaving Patricia standing alone in a cloud of dust. She turned to me, pure hatred in her eyes. You've ruined everything, she hissed. Do you have any idea what you've done? Protected my property, I suggested mildly. You know, like you should have protected those deposits you took. Her face twisted in rage. Open this gate immediately. I have legal access. No, you have. Plot X, I said, a 75 square meter strip of land that starts at your property line and ends at my fence. Congratulations on your $10,000 sidewalk to nowhere. Patricia rushed to the gate, rattling it violently. Open this. I'll sue you. I'll destroy you. Duke barked once, sharply, and she stepped back. Sue away, I said calmly. Though you might want to save your money for all those refunds you'll be paying. Just then, Thomas and Linda Murphy drove by in their pickup truck. Thomas rolled down his window, looking at the scene with a big grin. Morning, Marcus, nice fence. Very sturdy looking. He turned to Patricia with fake concern. Everything. All right, Ms. Gray, you look a bit flustered. Linda leaned across her husband. Oh my. Patricia, where did all your investors go? They left so quickly. Patricia glared at them with murder in her eyes. Thomas chuckled. 40 years I've lived here, and I've never seen someone outsmart themselves so completely. You bought a road to nowhere, didn't you? It's like those city folk who buy oceanfront property at high tide. Sometimes you need local knowledge to avoid expensive mistakes, Linda added sweetly. Sarah Wilson, who ran the local grocery store and was the town's unofficial news source, jogged up with her smartphone in her hand. Oh my God, Patricia, someone just posted a video of all those investors leaving. It's already got 300 views and everyone's sharing it. She showed her phone screen where shaky video showed the investors' angry departure. The comments were brutal. Scam artist exposed, lock her up. Patricia Gray, you old fraud queen. Asterisk Patricia looked like she was about to faint. Her perfect morning had turned into a public shaming that was spreading through the county like wildfire. This isn't over, she snarled at me. I have resources, I have connections, you've made a powerful enemy. I made an enemy the day you tried to steal my lake, I replied calmly. I just decided to fight back. Patricia stormed off, her heels clicking angrily on the pavement, but I could see her shoulders shaking with rage or despair, I couldn't tell. Duke and I stood by our new fence, watching her go. The morning sun was fully up, casting long shadows across the land. My lake sparkled peacefully in the distance, protected once again. Good boy, I told Duke, scratching his ears. We did it. But even as I enjoyed the victory, I knew Patricia wouldn't give up. Desperate people do desperate things, and Patricia was beyond desperate. Those investors would want their money back, and she had already spent it. A cornered animal is the most dangerous, and I had just backed Patricia into a very tight corner. Thomas parked his truck and walked over. That was something else, Marcus, but watch yourself. That woman has the look of someone with nothing left to lose. I know, I admitted. But she started this war. Just remember, Thomas said seriously, winning battles isn't the same as winning wars. She come at you another way, as if on cue. My phone buzzed. Someone had tagged me in a social media post. Patricia had already started her counterattack, and it was about to get ugly. But for now, I had my fence, my lake, and the satisfaction of watching 25 investors drive away from Patricia's scam. Duke and I headed home for breakfast, knowing the real fight was just beginning. Patricia had already shown she would lie to the police and cheat investors. What would she try next? One morning, her car was repossessed, the tow truck driver ignoring her pleas. Utilities sent shut-off notices. The perfect image of success she had built was crumbling, revealing the desperate con artist underneath. Then came Judgment Day. The courtroom was packed for Patricia's criminal trial. She looked worn out in an ill-fitting suit. Her attorney, clearly a last-minute hire, seemed to be learning about the case as it went on. The prosecutor, Jennifer Walsh, was sharp and efficient. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," she began, "Patricia Coleman has left a trail of victims across 7 states over 12 years. She is a predator who targets rural communities, believing them to be easy marks. Today, we prove that justice reaches everywhere, even quiet lakeside towns." The evidence was overwhelming. The jury saw security footage of Patricia's lies, heard the audio of her bribery attempts, and looked at documents showing the fraudulent lake sales. They heard testimony from 23 victims, some of whom had driven hundreds of miles just to face her in court. "I testified about the harassment, the attempts to steal my property, and the poisoning of Duke's water bowl." Duke himself even came to court as evidence, sitting perfectly behaved while the prosecutor explained how Patricia had tried to kill him. Several jurors gasped when they heard that part. Patricia's defense was pathetic. Her lawyer talked about stress, financial pressure, and momentary lapses in judgment, but how do you explain away 12 years of fraud across 7 states? When Patricia took the stand, she tried to play the victim one last time, claiming I had set her up to steal her property, but the prosecutor destroyed her story in minutes, showing the jury Patricia's own posts where she tried to sell my lake before we had even met. The jury took exactly 47 minutes. Guilty on all counts. The sentence came 2 weeks later. The judge combined her new convictions with the old warrants from other states. Patricia was facing serious time. "Patricia Coleman," the judge said, "you are a career criminal who has shown no remorse, only regret at being caught. You have destroyed lives, stolen dreams, and attacked the very foundation of community trust. I sentence you to 18 years in federal prison with no possibility of early release for 5 years. Additionally, you are ordered to pay full restitution to all victims, totaling $317,000. Patricia collapsed at the defendant's table. At her age, 18 years was basically a life sentence. As the guards led her away in shackles, she looked at me one last time. The hatred was still there, but underneath it was something else, total, crushing defeat. 1 month later, Duke and I were back to our morning ritual by the lake. The water sparkled with autumn light, peaceful and untouched. Thomas and Linda had organized a community barbecue to celebrate the return of peace, though everyone knew it was really a Patricia's gone party. Sarah Wilson brought her famous potato salad and the latest gossip. "Did you hear? Patricia's in a federal prison in Kentucky? Apparently, she's on kitchen duty, from would-be resort owner to dishwasher." Everyone laughed, but I felt a small pang of something, not pity, but a sense of waste. Patricia had talent and drive. If she had used her gifts honestly, she might have been truly successful. Instead, she chose lies and theft and destroyed herself in the process. "You did good, Marcus," Walter Freeman said, raising his beer in a toast. "You stood up to a bully and won. Emily would be proud." The mention of Emily's name still brought a familiar ache, but it was mixed with warmth now. I had protected our dream. I had kept my promise to her. Duke barked happily, chasing a butterfly along the shore. Life had returned to normal, or as normal as it could be without Emily. The lake was ours again, peaceful and protected. As the sun set over the water, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, I whispered to the evening breeze, "We did it, Em, the lake is safe." Duke trotted back to my side, wet and happy. Together we watched the light fade. A man and his dog, a guardian and his companion, protecting a dream and a promise. Patricia was gone, but Emily's memory lived on in every ripple of water, every sunset, and every peaceful morning by the lake. Sometimes justice comes with handcuffs and prison sentences. And sometimes it comes with the simple joy of a dog playing in the water his human fought to protect. Both kinds of justice matter. Both kinds help you heal. That's the complete story of Patricia Gray, or Patricia Coleman as the federal prison system knows her, who tried to steal my lake and ended up losing everything. People often ask if I feel guilty about her 18-year sentence. The answer is no. She chose to lie, steal, and attack the innocent. She tried to poison Duke, destroy my reputation, and steal the place where Emily's memory lives on. She got exactly what she deserved. Today, the ranch is peaceful again. Duke is getting older, but he still loves our morning walks by the lake. Our community is closer now, bonded by surviving Patricia's attempted invasion. We learned that standing together can defeat predators who think a quiet town is an easy target. I still fish every evening from the same spot, thinking about Emily and smiling at how we protected her dream. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life drama. And here's my question for you. Have you ever dealt with a neighbor from hell? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing how others stand up to bullies. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply protecting what's yours. See you in the next video.